Bump and Run with Bernie and Dahlby. Presented by Burrito Express, your local burrito joint. Now, here's Brett Bernheisel and Steve Dahlby.
Well, here we are. We've been nicknamed the most inconsistent podcast in the podcast world because we just do it whenever we do it. There's no consistency. Have found a new title sponsor for the opening of the show. And this, by the way, is Show 22. It's a red deuce heart and a two of a diamonds because today is Valentine's Day. This is presented by our friends at Dollar Tree, where everything's that used to be $1. Now it's $1.25, but I don't care. Dahlby, good to see you. Shu, good to see you too. Guys, let's just get right to it. We got so much to talk about in a short
Well, hang on, Bernie. Hang on. You did say it is Valentine's Day, and my wife brought the roses that I got her this morning. You can see them behind me over there.
I see them. Over there.
For all the golf widows that may have been neglected today, and as we do this podcast at dinner time on Monday, Valentine's Day, you can see Amy's roses.
They look nice too. I got my wife roses, but they're in the kitchen, which where they usually end up being. But yeah, that was a nice thought on your part, Dahlby, and a very nice thought on her part to bring it back to our Bump and Run podcast. It's nice. Let's just go right to it. What a crazy week we had here in our backyard, literally in our backyard with the Waste Management Phoenix Open. A fantastic golf tournament finish. Not very good for me financially. We'll get into that later in the program. But let's get, Dahlby, you were out there. You were out watching Troy, who had another good tournament. And congratulations, by the way. I know we weren't on last week. Congratulations on a great play at Pebble Beach. I know he had a lead with a couple holes to go and had a little bit of hiccup on 17. But he finished fourth, played well this week again. Congratulations on that. But give me the perspective from you, from a teaching standpoint. You were out there following Troy around and looking at the crowd, the buzz, and the 250,000 people that they apparently had on Saturday and 200,000 on Friday. Talk about it from your perspective as far as trying to maneuver your way around just to watch your player play.
Yeah, so the week was a good week, and obviously the Phoenix Open is all about the crowds and the excitement and the Thunderbirds being able to do things for charity that other tournaments can't, and you want to have those crowds so that they can do that, so they can make those big donations. On Saturday, and they did split tees, because of the daylight. And then I think yesterday, because of the Super Bowl, they're trying to get it done. They didn't quite get it done because of the playoff. But on Saturday, Troy had shot 3 under par through the first 2 rounds. The cut was 2 under par. And 2 under par seemed a little bit low to me when I thought about things last week. However, the golf course played very, very fast. If you watched, that's not just the speed of the greens. The speed of the greens were very, very quick, but the golf course was very firm. So the ball was kind of bouncing all over. And I think the guys that got the morning tee times on Thursday morning and then had to play in the afternoon, and Troy was one of those guys, had a huge disadvantage in terms of scoring and making the cut. Thursday morning was windy. It was cold. We were warming up under the lights. The first tee time is 7 something. Troy was second off, I think 7:36. So we started warming up at 6:15, and it's dark out there. But he made the cut, which was nice. Had to work hard on Friday to make the cut. But on Saturday, he was paired with interesting pairing with Garrick Higo, the South African young kid, UNLV kid. He went to UNLV for a year and a half, didn't like it at UNLV, turned pro. Last summer, he won twice on the European Tour, real quick. I don't know if it was back to back, but it was real quick. And then he came over and won a tournament on the PGA Tour, the site in South Carolina that they used last year. So I was anxious to see him play because just the UNLV connection. Obviously, is a good young player, but we were also paired with Jordan Spieth on Saturday, who started the day at 3 under par as well. And in the group in front of us at 3 under par was Scotty Scheffler. So I got to watch Scotty Scheffler on Saturday because I usually, as you know, Bernie, I walk up in front. I got to watch a lot of him. But we started on 10, thank God. But the Jordan Spieth crowd was crazy. So of the 250,000 people that were out there on Saturday, it sure seemed like, I don't know, 10, 12,000 people were following Jordan Spieth. And I actually, Bernie, I gained a lot of respect for Jordan. Sometimes I watch Jordan out there and he's talking to Michael Greller. They go over everything. It seems like overkill, but the respect I gained for Jordan and for Greller was the amount of, I would say, heckling that they have to put up with on every hole. Whether it is, girls saying, Jordan, I love you, I want to, marry you, that, and that's the light stuff, to people, hey, Jordan, what's wrong with your putting grip? When are you going to switch? How come you can't hit a fairway? And then Greller, what are you doing out there? It was amazing. And I think that is the one thing about this tournament that I found very difficult to watch, because I felt sorry for Jordan out there that day, where he's clearly doing something in his swing. He's working on a new move. He's struggling a little bit. He didn't drive the ball very well at all this week, and that was tough on him. It was tough to see, and you hate to see that when and I've met Jordan a couple times. He's a nice kid, so that was tricky. But I say we played off. Thank God we played the backside first, because at least when I got through the craziness of 16 and 17 that probably hadn't built up to the full potential of 16 or 17, once we got to one, it was like a fresh breath of air, where I could actually kind of walk around and feel a little more like it was a leisurely walk around the golf course.
Hey, Shu, I know you're there. Did you watch any of the golf tournament? I mean, we saw, and if people that are just watching or listening to this for the first time, there was a couple of holes in ones, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. The crowd went nuts, throwing beer cans, and they were throwing shit everywhere. And it was cool, but it was kind of a disaster. Everybody has to wait now 20, 30 minutes. Then you have the Harry Higgs, Joel Damon thing. Yes. Taking his shirt off, Damon taking his shirt off, and that all became because of a tweet that happened the day before, that when they got paired for the first time, that Damon said, please retweet this and I'll get Harry Higgs to take his shirt off. But from a casual fan perspective of watching it on television, what did you think of everything that happened this week? Is not how the tournament ended, but like the shenanigans that happened.
Yeah, so I know you guys come to me because you want the casual golf fan's perspective, and normally I come firing off with a hot take, but I don't know if what I'm going to say here is going to be very hot takey. This is all fun and fine until it isn't, right? Like everything that happens every time that we have the Phoenix Open is fine because it's playful, it's fun, until something happens where somebody gets hurt, right? Like that's the way that I look at this. Like, it's fun, it's exciting, it's this thing that only the Phoenix Open can provide because of the way the Phoenix Open is set up. But once somebody does something dumb, or once somebody gets hurt, everyone's going to be like, yeah, we kind of expected that, right? It's the Phoenix Open. Like, we kind of anticipated this happening at some point. I don't have a problem with anything that happens, because I just think it's fun antics, it's bizarro world, it's different, it's exciting. Like that, like just generally what normally happens at the Phoenix Open, I'm good with. But once somebody does something dumb, it's all going to get taken away. And I'm surprised nothing stupid has happened yet so far.
What are your thoughts, Dahlby?
Well, I think that Shu makes a very good point, and I think the players and the caddies. I mean, the caddy's going to go with his player, but I think the players know what the Phoenix Open is all about. And like I said, there's a lot of good things that happen with the Phoenix Open with regards to what the Thunderbirds can do charity-wise. They're way above the rest of the golf world in making charitable donations. So that's important. It is a week where it highlights Scottsdale, it highlights Arizona, and I think it highlights the game of golf. So I think there's more positives than outweigh the negatives, and so I'm all for it. And I think if a player doesn't enjoy the Phoenix Open, doesn't have to play the Phoenix Open. They're independent contractors, and they can choose their schedules. And the PGA Tour wants them to play once every 3 years, I think, each tournament, but they don't have to play every year if they don't like it. And Tiger Woods, for example, I think he played twice or three times here over his long career. And he made the hole in one. And then there was the time where he had the chip yips when he was coming back from injury. And so I don't know if there was even a third time. It was a lot for Tiger. And I talk about the amount of noise that Jordan Spieth had to endure, I would say, on Saturday, because he was struggling. You times that by, I guess, 100 if it's Tiger Woods. So, but I do. I think the good outweighs the few things that are a little bit different. And it is just 1 week a year. There's no other spectacle like the 16th hole, and it's once a year. So I'm fine with it, but I'm glad that the week's over.
Well, and Dahlby, another good thing too that you bring up there that I think is such an important point. It's not like the PGA forces guys to play in this tournament, right? Like, it's not, if you don't want to play, you don't have to play. And it's not like anybody that signs up to say, hey, I'm going to play in the Phoenix Open because they're able to play in the Phoenix Open. It's not a surprise to them what they're walking into. They know when they make a decision to circle that date on their calendar that we're going to go play in this event, that they're going to play in something that's unlike anything else that they are going to see on the calendar. It is going to be different in so many ways. So it's not a surprise. It's not a shock. I'll tell Bernie, because you asked me, none of what I saw on Twitter in meme form or just on social media shocked me from the point of, oh gosh, I can't believe that happened at the Phoenix Open. It is all within the range of outcomes I anticipate when people go to the Phoenix Open to be a part of whatever we're going to describe that craziness as. So I think players understand what it is. And again, until it gets out of hand, it's not out of hand, right? And that's an easy way to say it. But until it gets out of hand, until somebody gets hurt or something bad happens, then I don't think there's anything wrong with what goes on.
Did it come close to getting out of hand? I mean, like you said, we had three incidents where people are hucking full Miller Lite Ultra bottles, onto the green, and yeah, they probably weren't aiming at the players, but either the security or volunteers or whatever like that. But there, like you said, there was a chance where somebody could get hit in the head with a 12 ounce or 16 ounce aluminum Michelob Ultra, and then we got some stress.
Sure, but it's not a one-to-one comparison, but when a guy gets a hat trick in hockey, people throw stuff on the ice, right? I mean, in Detroit, in Detroit all those years, they would throw an octopus on the ice. I mean, it's not an uncommon thing in sports for things to happen, right? And I think when you look at it, it's when. I can remember the Atlanta Braves a couple of years ago on the infield fly rule in that wild card game that they played in which the call didn't go their way, and the fans are purposely chucking things at the umpires on the field. I think that's a little different from what we're seeing at the Phoenix Open. Again, if somebody gets hurt, well, we probably need to put some rules in place to keep this within bounds. But everyone's being a part of the craziness that is the 16th hole. I don't have a problem with it, at least as it is currently, as things currently stand. I don't have a problem with it.
All right, all good. Dahlby, let's talk about how the tournament ended. Cantley and Scheffler. I mean, if for people that are golf fans that were excited to watch the Super Bowl, for some, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because it's in my backyard or it's I know the golf course. Like I've caddied in 8 to 10 Waste Management Opens in my career, but the excitement of the golf was pretty awesome from the fact that. Like you said, Scheffler comes from miles back and ends up winning the golf tournament, beats Cantley in the playoff. Schauffele had a chance to win. Koepka had a chance. I mean, a lot of people had a chance. A lot of players had a chance to win the tournament. But my one question to you: do you think they should have started that playoff on 16?
No, I like going to 18 because after play is done on 16. Everybody's leaving to go to the Super Bowl. So I think you go back and I don't think there's much excitement. So you're there in an empty stadium and it's like, and I haven't watched watched 20 seconds maybe of the Olympics, but there's no one in the stands. I've kind of chosen not to watch the Olympics, but uh, but I would think it'd be weird if you went back and there wasn't much going on. And as people are walking out, they're walking to 18, so it makes sense to have that be the whole. And they were just going to play over and over and over. I remember there was a playoff years ago where Justin Leonard was in the playoff, and I think they went down 10 to start. They were going to do 10. I think they did 10, 17, 18.
I think they went 18, 10. I think they went 18, 10, 17, I think, that year.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But I mean, I know they went 10, and that was I remember 10. Leonard still had a wood in his bag. That's what I remember about that. So this was a few years ago, but he had a wood driver. But he's one of the last to give it up. But I remember that. So that was the in the 90s or something like that. But I liked 18 back and forth. I think for the guys, both of them seem to struggle with that tee shot on 18 a little bit. And so, we were kind of playing out of the junk a lot on that, on the playoff holes, but it was cool to see the recoveries and the stances over there on the right side of the hole where there's the bunkers and the side hill lie. So no, I thought it was good. Do you think 16 go back?
I don't know. I was just asking. I mean, I've read on social media that people, why not go back to 16 and you whatever. But 18 is probably because I was astounded by how many fans were still there on the second, third playoff hole. I mean, there was probably a good, and I'm just going to wing it, I'm going to say 50, 60,000 fans on that hole. Where back in the day, people didn't really go to the Waste Management on Sunday because of the Super Bowl. Now, I know they tried their hardest this year, to give the guys 5.5 hours, to get done and before the Super Bowl started, and that didn't happen. And a lot of that has to do with the shenanigans that happened on 16. But no, 18 is probably the right hole because everybody's there, and you want the fan support. So I agree with you that 16 probably, in a perfect world, all the people stay there and hope there's a playoff, and then we go back there. But no, I think you're right. But I want to bring up something which my biggest takeaway of the Waste Management this week was Thigala. Here's a guy that gets a sponsor's exemption. He was, All-American at Pepperdine, won the Nicholas Award, the Haskins Award. Gets a sponsor's exemption. You watch his swing, and it's a little funky if you really don't know the golf swing like you do. But my takeaway was I'm a fan of this guy. I will be a fan of this guy until whenever. And everybody, Monday Q Info jokes around. He talks about, the nicest guy ever. And we probably use that, that phrase so much. But everything that I've read, everything I've heard, everything I've listened to that comes out of this guy's mouth, He cried. He cried because he lost. Now, I get it. I understand the emotion and he didn't back down. This was the biggest stage he's ever been on, playing with Kepka, odds were totally against him, but yet he fought and fought and fought. And on 17 of the final round, he hit a good drive. He got a shitty bounce that went in the water that ended up costing him the tournament. But this kid didn't give up. And kudos to him. I'm a fan of this guy until the end of time. He impressed me, and he really impressed me.
Yeah, and I think you look at he's a big guy, tall. Kind of walked by him at one point, and he's body type wise, he's just a big stocky guy. Not and the golf swing, I think the golf swing has a little bit of moves, but there's a lot of golf swings out there that have a little bit of moves. And what he's done, and Bernie, when we were talking before the podcast, you said, well, he cuts his tee shots and he draws his irons. And there's plenty of players that do that. The cut, especially if you hit it pretty far, like all these guys do. You play the cut off the tee for control, and then you play the draw with your irons, which is probably more of a natural ball flight for most of these guys. And so he's kind of that mindset. But it looks like he's got all the shots for a young kid. I was very moved by his emotion. As you mentioned, the Thunderbirds do a good job with their picks, their sponsors exemptions, and they do different things for different people, but they do a good job. It was a good pick, obviously. He's a really, really good player. He's going to be around for a long time. He hit a good shot, and he hit a good shot on 17. I don't like that green. I don't like that back left pin. I think that one's silly. Maybe because I've seen Troy put it in the water to that pin. I've seen him chip it in the water to that pin. But I saw Russell Knox hit a really nice little chip that he thought was 20 feet short, and it rolled in the water on Thursday. So I don't like that green. I think it's a little too severe. And there's that spine right in the middle of the fairway, and he was cutting it into, and I'm sure that when he was watching it, he's probably like, it's cutting right to the hole. This is money. Yeah. But he had it to the left of that spine. So I don't know if it was you say it was a shitty kick. I think it was just, he hit that side slope on that spine, and it went into the water. I don't like that. I wish, this next week, they talk a lot about the 10th green at Riviera. It's a short par 4, drivable. The green kind of sits kind of crossways, and I don't know, it seems like it's about 6 paces wide. It's skinny. Yeah. But then the good news about that is if you miss, and there's a little spine on that one on the green, but if it misses, it rolls into sand. And at least you can still play. You're not dropping. So like I said, I don't like that green very much. But if they put some sand over on the side by the water where maybe it holds that ball up, I think that would be a little more fair. There's always the drama of the water, but I feel like, and you're always a guy that likes to speed up play. That hole takes forever because it just seems like just about everybody, one person in that group is going to hit it in the water, and they're not bad shots. And that's what I don't like is when you maybe hit a pretty good shot or maybe a very good shot like he did, and now you're dropping. And he said he was worried about the ball rolling. We'll talk about that after he dropped it. So he kind of rushed his chip shot, hit it by, makes bogey, and that's the tournament for him. So it was a great event for him. You look at where he is now. I think he's maybe 40th in the FedEx list, so he's in very, very good shape. He's got a little over 300 FedEx points. You're going to need about 400 to keep your card this year. So I expect to see him many, many more years.
Plus, he now will get reshuffled up. He got an exemption this week in the Tigers tournament, so he's not going to be probably needing many more sponsors exemptions. Pretty much almost locked his card up. But let's go back to a statement you just said a minute ago, the drop. Let's talk about what Charlie Hoffman has created now in the world of golf by calling out the PGA Tour rules officials being amateur golfers because of an incident that happened to him on the 13th hole, when he hit his ball in the water. According to him, there wasn't much grass in the area where the rules official, supposedly, according to Charlie Hoffman, who's also a Waste Management sponsored player. Let's bring that out first. So he took the 2 drops. The ball wouldn't stay still because it was on a slope. He then was able to place his ball in a little patch of grass. And before he could hit his next shot, the same thing that happened to Ricky Fowler a few years ago behind the 11th green happened to him, where his ball's in play. His ball now rolls and goes into the water, which is another penalty stroke. He thought the rule had been changed, was pissed. I can understand him being pissed, but then all of a sudden goes on social media and calls out the PGA Tour, Jay Monahan, and tags the Saudi Arabia Golf Tour in this tweet. Give me your thoughts personally on that. and kind of tell me what you've heard from maybe some other players that were at the Waste Management Open this week.
Well, I think there was a lot of talk about Charlie Hoffman as the guys warmed up. And I would say most of it was well, I think all of it was negative, in that whether you like the rule or you don't like the rule, and Bernie, I don't know, what do you think about the rule itself?
I'm not a fan of it. I think it should be changed, but that's just me. But that's
So the
like
ball,
I said, it's just me.
So as you said, the ball is in play. But
Correct.
the one thing about that situation is that there are other options that he could have taken if he maybe was really worried about the rule or knew the rule. He clearly didn't know, oh, I thought the rule was changed. Well, it wasn't. So you don't know the rules. And you were out there for years. A lot of the players rely on the rules officials. They'll call the rules officials even maybe when they do know the rules, but they probably aren't where they're not your dad that has the rules memorized and knows every situation. But your dad would also know that there are other options to that situation where the ball would not have had to be on that side hill. So, that being said, yeah, it's a weird rule, but he had other options. And then I think for him, and this is just my own opinion, I think for him to go on social media, and this is why you have to be careful with social media, is that, before you, especially if you're upset, before you press that button, or if you're upset and you think about, should I press this button or not press it, you probably shouldn't put send. You just probably shouldn't hit the send to put it out there. So I thought Charlie was in the wrong with doing that. I think as somebody that's on the PAC, the Players Council for the tour, I think there was no demonstration of any kind of professionalism in terms of how he should be acting. He's voted on by the players to represent the players, and he's calling out the commissioner. He's then saying, well, this is why everybody's going to go to Saudi Arabia. Well, maybe not. And that's to be determined. And we'll see what that one's all about and how long it lasts. But I thought it was very disappointing for him, especially him, somebody that's 45 or 46, that's been a journeyman player. Yes, he's won, but he's had a long career on the PGA Tour, probably because it's 125 players that get to keep their card every year. And no one would miss Charlie Hoffman if he went to Saudi Arabia. He just didn't play. No one would miss him. And I think that's the thing. There's nothing that, I probably shouldn't have said that, but that's my opinion. And then the other thing, and I won't take that back. But here's the thing. I won't take that opinion back. And if Charlie was sitting here in the room, or if he heard this, I would tell him to his face that that's the case. I wouldn't retract it or try to backpedal the next day, which just means that all of a sudden you've either talked to your agent and you've been told to retract this and try to make things better, or you're something else that I won't say what you are. So have
you're
a little
100%
backbone.
right.
Have a little backbone. If you're going to say something, have some backbone. Don't be, wishy-washy about things. But in terms of, what he did, I thought it was unnecessary. I think, there's not everybody's jumping to go play in Saudi Arabia. What's your?
Do you think? Well, first of all, he was a complete idiot. But I've known I don't know him, but I mean, I was out there back when he first started on the Corn Ferry Tour today, what it's called today. I mean, he wasn't personable. But I don't care about that. It has nothing to do with this, I guess. But it's not like Saudi. The Saudi Arabian is like, oh my God, we have a chance to get Charlie Hoffman. And the people in the office, oh my God, we have a chance to get Charlie Hoffman. No, nobody's banging, like you said, nobody's banging on Charlie Hoffman's door, for him to go play in Saudi Arabia. But when he went on social media and he printed, and he posted all this stuff, DeChambeau and Phil Mickelson both agreed with him in different comments. And, now all this is coming out, which leads to, to these guys. The rumor today is that Bryson will never play again on the PGA Tour. He's going to go play in Saudi Arabia. He's now come out and said, this is false. This is, inaccurate, news. Mickelson is saying the tour's greedy. So hold on for a second. All three of you, hold on for a second. DeChambeau, Hoffman, and Mickelson. You all have enough money that you never have to work again a day of your life if you don't want to. If you don't want to play golf and you just want to go, Morgan Hoffman style and go sit on an island by yourself and do that, fine. Go. You have enough money. When Phil talks about greed, Phil's money came from the PGA Tour and endorsements from the PGA Tour and things like that, because that's what Tiger Woods created for these guys. Charlie Hoffman came up, back in the day, he didn't have any money. He's got plenty of money now to retire and go off in the, in the sunset, and nobody's going to forget him. Believe me. The only people that are going to forget him are the people that bet whoever leads the first round of the Masters, back in the day when he led every first round and then finished 50th. If DeChambeau wants to go play in Saudi Arabia, go play in Saudi Arabia. But if you decide that's what you want to do, just know that you can't, the word you used earlier, you can't retract your decision. Once you go, you're done. You're done with the PGA Tour, and the PGA Tour has let everybody know this. Now, supposedly 17 players have committed to the Saudi Arabian Tour. And as my friend Adam Blanker told me today, we were texting about this. It doesn't matter if you get Phil Mickelson, if you get Lee Westwood, Ian Poulter. You're going to need somebody like a Morikawa, a Sam Burns, a Victor Hovland, somebody like that youth group, to be able to make this thing successful, or it's just going to be like Champions Tour Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, and I think, and that's where we'll have to find out if this actually is something where, and I think from what I understand, Koepka said he's happy on the PGA Tour. Justin Thomas happy on the PGA Tour. Jordan Spieth happy on the PGA Tour. So those are the guys you're talking about. Now there is the situation with Bryson, and there's rumors that he's been offered a ton of money to go over there. I've also heard, and then this is the one thing, Bernie, that I think we have to be, it's a to be determined. I've heard that there's the possibility that you could still play both tours, possibly. There's the possibility that you would be able to play the majors. And there's a possibility that a lot of these tournaments would actually be in the United States. And so there's a lot of things that we'll have to find out if this is actually even going to happen or whatever. I've also, I've heard Bryson's actually hurt. He's saying that he's hurt, and I think he withdrew from a tournament in the Mideast where
he did.
There was appearance money that he got, but he didn't finish. You'd think he'd finish if he wasn't hurt. So I know he's not playing this week at the Genesis at Riviera. So we'll see. I'm, and that's another thing that, if Bryson is hurt, why is he hurt? Is it going at it 600 miles an hour? Has it already caught up to him after just a couple years of this distance experiment? There's a lot of interesting things that I think we're going to see in the months to come. One being, hopefully he's not hurt. I hope he's not hurt. I hope he gets, if he is hurt, I hope he's able to play the kind of golf that he can play, because he's exciting to watch. But there's a lot that we'll find out about the Saudi Arabian thing, and then also the PGA Tour. Notice the purses in the PGA Tour are up this year. There's no coincidence to that. Notice the things that the PGA Tour is trying to do. There's talk in the fall of some different things. So there's going to be a lot of changes, and I think the PGA Tour is probably one of the things that this is probably good, is that maybe it's made them look at some of the things they do, and maybe they change a little bit. But you go back to Hoffman, he's he's an independent contractor that has a pension or a retirement. So that's kind of an interesting
Yes.
situation from the PGA Tour. That's unique, I would say. And then, yeah, he's made a ton of money through the game of golf on the PGA Tour, and now you go out publicly and really harshly criticize how things are going, and we can do better, and Jay Monahan, you need to do better, and maybe everything's not as bad as he pointed out. And certainly if you're on the players council, and I think you do that behind closed doors and you don't do it on social media. I think that was dumb.
When you talk about his pension, I mean, and I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm going to guess. I mean, it's you get money for every cut you've made. You get a point or 2 points or things like that. And through the years, and he's probably been out there 20 years, 18 years, whatever it might have been. He's probably to the point where if he retired tomorrow and took his pension or whatever, I mean, I know RW, or when RW played, and he won 4 times on the Champions Tour, probably made, I don't know, 50 cuts on the regular tour. He's probably getting, I don't know, $20,000-$30,000 a month, and that's RW Eeks. I mean, Charlie Hoffman's probably, got enough pension points to make, he's probably getting, $100,000 a month. I mean, and the old saying, the grass isn't greener on their side. Yeah, the PGA Tour made, I mean, Charlie Hoffman's career, I mean, his playing ability made him the money, but the opportunity to make this amount of money was created by the PGA Tour. And when that came out, I just laughed, and I'm thinking, what a freaking idiot you are. And when you talked about Koepka earlier, I'm not the biggest Brooks Koepka fan there is, but I love the way he just stands up. When they interviewed him, what are your thoughts on what you said about Phil? I said it. Well, did you mean it? I said it, didn't I? And they're like, well, did you really mean it? Yeah, I said it. I mean, so I like Brooks Koepka a little bit more this week than I liked last week. What were your thoughts on Koepka just saying, go talk to Phil or whatever? This is what I said, and I'm not going to retract it. I guess that's the word of the show, retract.
Well, and I think that Koepka, with his blonde hair now that I saw out of the back of his cap the other day, I thought that was interesting. But he's a competitor. He's he's out there to beat the guys, and that's part of maybe the greatness that is Brooks Koepka. There's a confidence about how he goes about things, and there's no looking back, I don't think, in the way he thinks and the way he says things. And I think that's okay. I don't know him. When I've been by him, there hasn't been any conversation. There's not a hello or anything. He's doing his thing. And I've never been introduced to him, so I don't know him. I thought the commercial on the Super Bowl that he was in, I thought he was kind of funny with the was it Michelob Ultra, I guess. And so, he's out there. The thing, and here's one thing that I have also. So if this Saudi thing goes, right, Bernie, they are going to try to get some big names. Like you said, they need some big names that they're going to give a bunch of money to, and then they're going to give a bunch of money, not as much, to fill the roster, basically, right? So maybe, Charlie Hoffman, if he was a top 100 player, and I don't know where he's ranked in the world, but he might be one of those guys. And at 45 or 46, if they offered him 20 million, it might be, something that he would think about. But yeah. Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So okay.
So hang on. But let's just say, but let's say they did that. Let's say they offered him 20, and you love your dollars, but they offer him 20 million, which, he's on the decline of his PGA Tour career. There's no question about that. He's not in the prime. But now, instead of being an independent contractor where you can choose what tournaments to play, if you don't, we just talked about this, you are an employee of a whatever oil tycoon or whatever this main guy is, you are part of his payroll. And with that, there are things that maybe some people would think about in terms of, how people are treated over there other than the real rich. There's political things to think about. So it is a tough decision. But yeah, the amount of money that I'm hearing is, for a top 100 player, it's not going to be just come over and play for the purse. There's going to be a significant fund or a significant amount offered to join the team. And that's what it is. It's a traveling circus.
By the way, Charlie Hoffman, 93rd on the world golf ranking and 139th in the FedEx Cup standings.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good one. Okay, so Merritt's top 103, 104 in the world. Is Troy? I mean, would Troy ever think about taking $20 million and not being able to play in the PGA Tour again? Or, I mean, let's just say that's how it's going to be done. So you can take the money, you can go be part of this team or whatever it's called, and you're done playing the PGA Tour. Would Troy ever think about doing something like that?
Well, and I think the consideration for somebody, and I'm not going to speak for Troy, but the consideration for somebody like that would be, what if this thing only goes for a year or two?
Right.
And now let's say I can't play the PGA Tour like you're saying, Bernie, but let's say they say, well, you can play the PGA Tour, but now you've lost status, and all of a sudden you're playing out of past champions, or do you go to the Corn Ferry? There's going to be players that probably don't have enough. Not everybody's Hunter Mahan last year who could play on an all-time, money earnings for a year or whatever. So I think that's the thing. And then I do think that some people would think, do I want to do this? Even if tournaments are in the United States, do I want to be playing? Do I want to be on this guy's payroll? Do I want this guy writing the check?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the one guy, but I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know. This is like, and I think Shu referenced this the other day in a tweet that he had that he responded to, like, this is like the USFL or the XFL or whatever. I mean, everybody leaves to go to, like when Herschel Walker left to go play in the USFL and things like that. I mean, I get it. I mean, money is what it takes to live and be successful, but there's a point where, what's enough? And to end this conversation about Hoffman, and if Mickelson thinks that the PGA Tour is greedy, then, go play in Saudi Arabia. I don't care. I mean, if he doesn't want to play on the PGA Tour, he doesn't want to play in the Champions Tour, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to – Phil Mickelson's not going to make the Saudi Arabian golf tour. Ian Poulter's not going to make it. That make them a household name. Charlie Hoffman definitely is not going to make them a household name. I don't care if he's 93rd in the world, 73rd, 135th. It doesn't matter. You need to make that tour successful, and this is just my opinion, but I think I'm right. You need a Morikawa, a Hovland, a Sam Burns, a Thigala, somebody like that to drive interest, because I don't think anybody's going to wake up on whatever day they play these tournaments. Let's just say it's the same schedule as the PGA Tour, and be like, oh my God, Phil Mickelson has a chance to win in Saudi Arabia. I just don't see it. I don't.
By the way,
and there better be.
I just want to correct the record here. I just want to correct the record because Bernie was throwing numbers out there. Charlie Hoffman, 93rd in the world, 139th in the FedEx Cup rankings. You throw some random numbers out there. I don't want Charlie tweeting at us. Just trying to make sure that the show is safe. So I want to get those accurate numbers out there.
Charlie can tweet at us anytime he wants. I don't care. What do you mean, me? What do I care? All right. Hey, real quick, I know we're almost done with the show. So I've lost a little bit of weight, and I want to bring both of you guys into this. So I've now a different belt notch on my pants. But here's the problem. When I use that new belt notch, it's a little tighter, even though I can get to it now. Should I use the new belt notch, or should I go to the more comfortable, same I was at before belt notch, and can always be pulling my pants up? Dahlby?
You got to, yeah, you got to go to the new one. New one, and if it's a little tight, that just means you gotta, whatever you're doing to, if it's eating better or exercising or whatever, you just gotta just work it to where it's comfortable. That's my opinion.
Shoe?
Oh yeah, we're team comfort here. Whatever's going to make you more comfortable is what you do. Team comfort.
All right. After 4 weeks of being in a hiatus, and we're going to get better at this, I promise you, we will lose the title of the most inconsistent podcast on the podcast airways. It's time for Who You Got? Sponsored by our good friends at Burrito Express, your local burrito joint. And it's the same scoreboard that we've had up there for a few weeks now. And since we've been off the air for a few weeks and none of us can remember who we picked at the beginning of the season, we have decided that it's a clean slate starting from here till the end of the year. And since you have the lead, you are the first to pick this week and who you got at the Genesis at Riviera. Who you taking?
So again, just for those of you who maybe are joining us for the first time, who you got? We make picks every week. If we use a golfer, we cannot use them. This is a new rule for 2022. We cannot use them again.
Correct.
Throughout the course of the season. Since I'm in first, I get to go first. Guys, I'm using a big name. I'm crossing one of those, I think, 5 golfers you set aside for the big events every year. I'm using one of them this week. Give me Dustin Johnson, a previous winner at the Genesis. Give me Dustin Johnson. Yes.
Well, jeez. You got to pick next, Bernie. I got to find out who's playing. Jeez.
Your own guy's playing. I mean, at least you could pick your own guy if you came down to worst case scenario.
I've done that before. I'm holding him. I know where I'm going to pick Troy Merritt. I got that one.
Listen, Dahlby. It's an aggressive strategy. Dustin Johnson's one of the guys you keep around for the 4 majors, but this guy's 1 year before. I just felt it this week. I felt it.
No, that's who I was going with. Oh my God.
Dahlby, you going to take Merritt in Minnesota?
Mm-mm.
All right, because I am. I'll just let that out there now. All right, so you took Dustin Johnson, and wow, okay, you just fired a bullet right there in the middle of everybody. I'm going with the kid from this week. I'm going with Thigala. I'm going off the rails. I'm going to ride the high. Kid's from Pepperdine. You know he's played the course before, probably many times. I'm taking Thigala this week, and who you got? And Dahlby, I'll give you another minute. So real quick,
I'm all right. I got it right here. I'm looking. I got it. I'm in a good spot, and it wasn't too long ago that I was at Phoenix Country Club, and I was given some lessons, and I was driving my cart back, and it was a 10T start that day, so 9 is right. I was coming around, and 9, and I look, and I go, God, that guy looks like Bubba Watson. And I drove over, and it was Bubba Watson. So I am taking Bubba Watson, who has played well at Riviera, Bubba Watson this week.
This man was going to take Dustin Johnson, couldn't take Dustin Johnson, and then had an anecdote for why he was picking Bubba Watson. That was an incredible turn of events there.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was like it was scripted, wasn't it? But it wasn't scripted. All right, real quick, my BetMGM this week. I actually got involved in the playoff, and I bet Cantley. So I lost, but I had good money this week on Brooks Koepka finishing in the top 10, which made me a few dollars. And I want to make a point before we leave that going forward in any major this year, I will have money on Brooks Koepka because I don't know what it is, but it seems like there's 6 tournaments or 5 tournaments each year that he cares about. The majors, the 5 majors, Tournament Players Championship that you don't consider a major, Dahlby, but I do. And the Waste Management Phoenix Open. I think those are the 6 tournaments at the beginning of each year. He circles his calendar. That's the tournament I want to win. So going forward, anybody that bets golf, bet Brooks Koepka in every major this year. I think you'll be successful.
Hey, Bernie, do they still? I mean, I don't know. Do they do the where you play against each other? You can pick somebody to play against each. Like this player beats this player. Do they do that?
Yeah, they do that, and I had a couple of those this week. I was successful on one, was unsuccessful on another. But yeah, usually how it works is like yesterday, I made a sizable wager on let's see, who was it? Oh, on Cantley beating Scheffler during the 18 holes yesterday. They end up tying, and then I was upset. So they had live odds. You can bet the playoff. So I decided I might as well just bet more money on Cantley. So it was a disaster. And Cantley had a 3-shot lead and couldn't make an 8-foot putt coming down the stretch. So, but I'll tell you what, right now, in my opinion, and you give me your opinion, I think Cantley's the best player in the world right now at this time. He doesn't show any sign of, like, nothing bothers him. Like, he could make a hole-in-one on 16 at the Waste Management like Sam Ryder did on Saturday, and it wouldn't faze him at all. There would be no caddy jumping up in his arms. He'd just walk over to his caddy, hand him his club, and wait there until everything got cleaned up. Don't you agree?
Patty ice, man. Patty ice. That's the deal. But I was just going to say, I guess on Saturday, if you bet against Charlie Hoffman, it was a pretty easy win.
Yeah, what did he shoot, 79?
I think so. So maybe he was thinking a little bit about his tweet the previous night. Maybe thinking it wasn't the right thing to do.
And maybe he got heckled as well. Schubert, thanks. Dahlby, thanks. Show 22's in the books. We're planning on show 23 next week, but you know what? Who knows? 23 is around the corner. Thanks for watching. This has been presented by our friends at Burrito Express. We'll see you next week, everybody.